Hey, what's up guys? Happy New Year and welcome back to our YouTube channel. And officially this is the first video for the new year, and it happens to be the first course series we'll be taking for this year. And it's going to be a UI UX and web development course 2023. Initially the plan was to build just a web development course, but along the line I decided to just tweak it up a bit, and here we have it. So what makes this course so unique is the fact that we are going to be building websites, web pages, we're going to be designing and we're going to be developing also, but it's going to be different from all the things you have ever seen on YouTube, all the things you have ever experienced from any other YouTube tutors online or even in other places. This is because we'll be building web pages by web components, web component building blocks and structures of the website, which are going to be responsible for creating our web layout. And also we'll be making those things or those components very much dynamic, but we'll start from building a successful user interface and user experience, then we graduate to the web design and web development. So you wouldn't want to miss on this amazing course back. It's going to be very fun, and personally I feel we should just start from the web development aspect, but life is a process. So for the next 3 weeks or for the next 1 month, we'll just be discussing strictly on UI UX before we graduate to the next phase. So what are web components? So I was able to refine the definition and come up with something very explanatory, very self-explanatory, and not coming from the advanced perspective of what people see web components as, which is the API, standpoint, view, and the rest. I was able to bring it down to the basics, which is just the set of web components, or imagine I'm using the word components to define components. Sorry about that. So the set of web constituents or elements that makes up web pages and web apps. Just like Flutter, when building applications, mobile applications using Flutter, it's consists of using widgets. It's more like widget tree, widgets upon widget upon widget. So that's how the website, or web pages are structured. Using sort of widgets or using sort of elements that makes up, when you combine everything together, you have a single web page or you have a single web app. So just like we have the water we take, which is composed of hydrogen and oxygen for the science students, that's how it is. H2O, I suppose 2 molecules of oxygen, hydrogen, and 1 molecule of oxygen. I don't know if I'm right, but it's been long I attended that science class. So that is how the web page too is structured. It has its basic elements, which we'll be discussing very much more in these videos, just like the sliders, the buttons, list, lot of cool stuff, modals and the rest, nice stuff, cards, and a lot of stuff we'll be discussing. Okay, so for this series, I was able to break it down into 3 important sections, which is, first of all, we have the UI UX part, then we have the front end part, and we have the back end part. So I would have loved to start from the back end part or the front end, back end, the web development part, because it's kind of more fun, especially when you are working with the back end. Working at the back is actually much fun, but we're going to start from the basics. So it's just to just spice up this course a bit and make it very much unique, and at the end of the day everybody benefits because you're going to be adding a lot of stuff to your repertoire. Alright, so for the first part of this course, which is the UI UX, we'll be talking about setup and installation 1.2. So we'll be talking about navbar and state, over state, variants, because we'll be using Figma, and we'll be using Adobe SD for the experience designs and user interfaces. We'll be talking about menus, all sliders, side panel, page title, forms, modals, that's on click, cool animations to create on apps, on web pages and the rest, floating button, accordions. These are components or elements you will find on most web pages. Let's say at the end of the day, or at the end of this course, we should have been able to cover at least 95% of all web components, which when we combine together we can create something amazing. For the second part, which is going to be the front end, the second series, we'll be talking about setup and installation also. We'll set up our environment for coding, the front end part. Then also talk about nav bars, drop down menu, buttons, carousel. That's to say, whatever we'll be designing in the UI part, that's the first part of this course. We're just going to be taking them and be coding them. Cool, right? So we'll be writing codes for whatever we have designed, or for whatever we have sketched, or for whatever we have drawn. So we'll just be writing the codes now. That's to say, we're not going to be doing more of click and drag, colors and the rest, just drag and those boring stuff. We'll be writing codes to see how that works in real life scenario. So that's going to be the second part. And for the final part, which is the third series, and we're going to be talking about the most important and the most cool part of this series. In my web development journey, I was able to gather in my little experience as a web developer. I was able to gather lot of cool stuff, lot of cool tricks and cool things that I can't really wait to share it to you. Stuff that many people like, wow, so this is how you do things, this is how it's done. Wow, this is really nice. So we're talking about fetching and displaying data dynamically from arrays. Normally it would have been done with what we call the databases, but because this is a very basic course, a basic to intermediate course, we are going to be talking about arrays. We won't be doing anything with database yet, but trust me, in future series we'll talk extensively on that. So I wouldn't want to confuse you by bringing databases into this whole thing yet. So we're just going to be sticking to the basics. But when you can fetch data from arrays, multi-dimensional array, that's what we're talking about. Not even associative arrays, multi-dimensional array. And if you can fetch data from it and display it dynamically on your web pages, then that's almost the same thing working with database. So when we go to the database part, you can see you would have discovered that we have covered quite a lot, and most things will not be new in the future. So we'll be talking about loops to dynamically display data. Let's say while loops. For the most part of this course, we'll be using for loops. Then we're talking about dynamic carousel slider. Yes, dynamic carousel slider, my favorite part. We'll also be talking about form validations and server-side requests. Yes, and we'll be talking about fetching lists dynamically and dynamic page title with video background. Yes, I'm going to show you guys a trick that I usually do, or I usually work with. Alright, so important note for this course, which is number one, I will be posting each video every Saturday evening. Sometimes you'll be need to post twice in a week. That's 2 videos in a week. Sometimes, let's say, if I can walk away around my schedules, I'll be able to post like 2 to 3 in a week, or even much more, or sometimes 0 in a week. But I'll try as much as possible to be consistent and to bring videos for you every Saturday, at least one. Then number 2, to build a career in web development, this is the only series you may get on YouTube which will break down difficult components. And I've been on YouTube for the past, I don't know, but I've been on YouTube for a very long period of time. Not, actually making videos, but actually watching. Because as a self-taught developer, I was able to learn a lot from other YouTube guys, and I've seen a lot of videos. Some that confused me, some that that was able to give me what I want, and some that I wasn't able to get what I want till I started working in a real life environment where I was fortunate to meet a lot of guys who were able to teach me things that I was supposed to know that I will never see on YouTube. So I'm here to actually things I learned on the field, which you can never see on YouTube. So you have to stick to this series. This is not, a series that you will start and at the end of the day you just abandon or something like that. For you to understand something very well, you have to follow it up from the first to the latter. Understand? So I'll actually encourage you to stick to this series and don't jump from series to series, because that's one of that's one of the errors most people make. They end up going from channel to channel to channel, and at the end of the day, different knowledge, different techniques, different procedures, different methods, and you'll be like, at the end of the day, you haven't gotten anything. So stick to a channel, stick to what the tutor has to say, and at the end of the day you won't regret it. Number 3, this series is the first coding tutorial and series on our YouTube channel. So I decided to introduce coding this year to this channel, but initially this channel was all about graphic design, and it will not be fair to just introduce coding to this channel, being that it was initially a graphic design channel. And what happened to my graphic design subscribers? What happened to them? So at the end of the day, they'll just be like, it's not favoring them. Why did I even subscribe in the first place? So I decided to give them something that they will hold to, and also give them a better thing to hold to, which is the coding aspect. I don't just want to give them make alone. I want to actually give them more stuff to actually build them. So that's why I decided to make UI UX. I decided to introduce the UI UX to this course. So in this way, or by doing this, the graphic design subscribers can benefit from this course, and also new viewers can benefit from the coding aspect. And at the end of the day, when you combine all the knowledge gotten from this series, you would have gotten a very robust ICT career. Alright, then for the final part, this is a basic and intermediate course series. So advanced series and more professional way of doing things will be taught in the future. That's on this channel, that I can assure you. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get notified. It's very important. Alright, so guys, that will be all for the introduction part. So watch out for the first video of this series. I love you all. Bye. See you in the next video.